What's up guys, and welcome to Simple Review, the series where I, PepperHomie, briefly play a game, review it, and I keep it simple. Let's get into it. Neurodeck is a psychological deck building card game. When you play this game, you just have the option of playing through the main story, and when you choose to start this main story, you have the option of choosing between two characters. The second character is actually locked and you unlock when you play the game, but when you choose your character, you have the option of choosing between three types of decks. You will actually only be able to start with one type of deck when you begin the game, and the other two can be unlocked after you beat the game. Now once you figure out what kind of deck you want to play with, you will be greeted with an option to choose your next destination. For those of you who are familiar with games such as Slay the Spire, this might be something you're familiar with where you're choosing between a few options that in your eyes benefits your playstyle. Now unlike games that are very similar to this, you actually don't get to choose a path. You're really just choosing between a few options, and that doesn't affect which way you go or anything like that. The decisions that you may come across are monsters, upgrades to your character, new cards to get, transforming cards, upgrading cards, removing cards, and unlocking features for your next playthrough. And all of this is pretty much what you would expect from a deck building style game, but this game doesn't really penalize you on how you perform in each fight. If you end up almost dying in a fight and you still win, your next fight you'll be at full stats. And now you may be wondering, okay, well what's the whole point of this? And the whole point of this is actually that they rely on a slow progression of difficulty the farther you climb. When you start off playing, you'll encounter some very easy enemies, but the farther you get, the enemies become more sophisticated and it'll rely highly on your deck building skills. And this is a very refreshing concept. Usually games in this genre just copy off of Slay the Spire, and after each fight you kind of keep what your stats were and move on to the next area. So if you're looking for a change up in the deck building genre, this might be something you're interested in. Now when it comes to gameplay, you might be familiar with how this works, but you'll have action points for each turn, and each card uses a certain amount of action points. You have a health bar, and you have an overall stamina bar. The stamina bar is sort of a unique concept as well, where you have a certain amount of stamina you can use in a match, and depending on how many cards you use, that stamina bar will start to go down. And of course you have cards that can refill that stamina. And this concept just adds more depth to your fight, so you're not just throwing out attacks and then taking your next turn. You'll need to carefully decide how you want to go about playing. And from my experience when playing the game, all of this works together to present itself in a very refreshing deck building game. There were some visual bugs, but nothing that was game breaking or hurt the experience. And with all that being said, I'd have to give this game 9.5 pepperonis out of 10. This game takes the deck building genre and puts its own twist on it, and it presents itself in a very refreshing format. Currently there are some visual bugs that may hurt your building strategy while you're playing the game, but once those are resolved, this game will easily be 10 pepperonis out of 10. So if you guys like the content, drop a sub, drop a like, and I'll see you guys in the next one.